Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. I am writing solo for today's TNA, or should I say GFW Slammiversary pay-per-view preview and predictions. I asked the other guys from NoDQ if they wanted to participate in this video, and all of them, literally all of them, said that they have not followed TNA in several months. So it's just me today to discuss the show and break it down. Now, the big news coming into this pay-per-view is the announcement that TNA slash Impact Wrestling will now be rebranded as GFW, Global Force Wrestling. I guess this is an improvement from TNA. The TNA name, we all know the reason why that's not a good name, why it's never been a good name. Impact Wrestling, IW, doesn't really have a good ring to it. But Global Force Wrestling, I mean, looking back, Jeff Jarrett never really was able to get GFW off the ground. But at the same time, GFW really doesn't have the tainted image that TNA has, and it's not as damaged of a brand name because it was never really much of a brand name to begin with. So I have mixed feelings about it. I doubt it's going to really make any sort of difference whatsoever. I'm still not seeing the really positive changes. I'm not seeing this brand as something that's really going to captivate people and get people invested in the product again. I think Sunday's pay-per-view is really important. If this is truly a rebranding for TNA slash Impact Wrestling slash GFW, they really need a home run more than ever. This needs to be the wrestling show of the year. This needs to be a complete home run. And looking at this card on paper, I'm not sure if they can deliver. It's going to take match after match of excellent quality for this company to really start to build some momentum again and possibly develop a new brand and win over fans that have long given up on the product. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these matches. We have the Latin American Exchange, LAX, defending against three international teams in a fatal four-way match. This is a match for the Impact Wrestling and the GFW tag team titles, so it's one of several merger matches where the titles from both brands are being merged. I'm assuming that LAX will retain here. This match was announced fairly recently, and there hasn't really been much build-up for it. So, in my opinion, there's really no need in there being a title change. I think Latin American Exchange, as the tag team champions, will retain this match. They will retain the titles. We have Sanjay Dutt versus Low Key, 2 out of 3 falls match for the X Division title. Sanjay Dutt recently won the title in India, which is an obvious move to create that feel-good moment in India. Now that they're back in the States, would not surprise me if Low Key wins the title back. Now, Sanjay just won it, so that's the argument for him retaining. Give him a little bit of a decent run. But at the same time, I feel like the title change was done simply because they were in India and they wanted to capitalize on that. I'm going to go with Low Key winning. I think it'll be the obvious. One guy wins the first fall, the other guy wins the second fall, and then Low Key will pick up the win in the third fall. Now we have a tag team, I'm going a little bit ahead of myself here. We have a Full Metal Mayhem match. Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards versus Davey Richards and Angelina Love. This is a feud that's been going on for a long time. It's been one of the better feuds in TNA slash Impact Wrestling slash GFW over the past several months. A lot of the time we've seen Davey Richards and Angelina Love get the upper hand on Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards. So I'm going to assume that the baby faces will win this time, and this will be the end of the feud. It's been going on for a while now, and I think it's time to wrap this thing up. And I see the babyface team winning here. Should be an entertaining match. Full Metal Mayhem, aka TLC. They'll do all the crazy stuff. Hopefully this is a good one. Next up, the match I was going to be talking about before I jumped ahead too far. Tag team match, D'Angelo Williams and Moose versus Chris Adonis and Eli Drake. I like Eli Drake. I think he has a lot of potential. Wouldn't shock me if he ends up in WWE pretty soon. I could see that happening, especially with guys leaving at a fairly alarming rate. I could see him being the next guy to go. Since you have a celebrity, if you want to call him a celebrity, D'Angelo Williams in this match, I'm assuming the babyfaces will win for the publicity. My pick would be Moose and D'Angelo Williams to pick up the win here. We have another unification match for the Knockouts and the GFW women's titles. We have Rosemary versus Sienna. Now, prior to this announcement of GFW becoming the new brand name moving forward, I was going to go with the Impact Stars overall to win. But now that Impact Wrestling is becoming GFW, I think it makes more sense for the GFW guys or gals to win the unification matches, just to build up the GFW brand. The GFW guys and gals win the unification matches. To me, it makes more sense to do it that way. So I am changing some of my initial predictions, and I will say Sienna wins this match and becomes the new merged, undisputed, whatever you want to call it, GFW Women's Champion. Next up, we have what I assume is going to be mostly an angle rather than a match. We have a tag team match, Jeremy Borash and Joseph Park versus Josh Matthews and Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. I have to say, this is what I'm looking forward to more than anything else on this show because I'm a Scott Steiner mark. What can I say? The guy is always entertaining, even if it's a complete train wreck. Scott Steiner is Scott Steiner, and I'm hoping he'll cut a promo before the match and give us something that can rival that classic 33 and a third % chance of winning. I would love that. Scott Steiner on the mic, to me, is always gold. It's always very entertaining. As far as what he can do in the ring, probably not much, which is why I'm assuming this is going to be more of an angle than a match. There'll be tons of stalling. There'll be a lot of showboating and back and forth antics, theatrics, all that sort of stuff, and not much wrestling. I would like to see Borash and Joseph Park win this and just end this feud with Borash and Josh Matthews. I think now that you're rebranding the company as GFW, I think you need to try and give it a little bit more credibility. And I think this storyline, the fact that the most anticipated match, at least for me, I'm sure I'm not the only one though, but a match that has comedy as the focal point and announcers, this is what people are looking forward to more than anything else on the show. To me, that's not a real good sign about the state of your company. So I would go ahead and wrap this thing up. You know, Slammiversary should really be the end of an era. It should be the end of past feuds and the start of a new era. And start some new feuds and new storylines and give us something different. So I would definitely end this and let this be the final match of this announcer feud between Borash and Josh Matthews. Now we have the main event, which is the world title unification match. Lashley, the Impact champion, versus Alberto El Patron, the GFW champion. Dos Caras is going to be in Alberto's corner, and King Mo is going to be in Lashley's corner. Really don't care about King Mo at all. I mean, I doubt this is going to add one pay-per-view buy to this show. Oh boy, King Mo's going to be there. Let's buy TNA GFW Slammiversary. Yeah. I initially, like I said earlier, I was going to initially go with the Impact Champion to retain, which would have been Lashley. But now that Impact Wrestling is going to be GFW, I think it makes more sense for the GFW Champion to win this match. And also, El Patron's a babyface, at least a babyface in the world of GFW. So I'm going to go with El Patron to win and have that feel-good moment. And this will usher in the new era, reboot number 500 for Impact Wrestling / GFW. And hopefully it's a good match. I mean, they really need to deliver. This is a match where they need to do something really memorable to kick off this rebranding on a high note. This pay-per-view is really important. Again, I'm not sure what match on this show can really define the new era. I mean, I think the Full Metal Mayhem match has the potential to be the match of the night. I'm hopeful that the main event can deliver, but I mean, quite frankly, looking at this card, my hopes are not really high. But I am curious to see what's going on with this rebranding, and NoDQ.com will have live coverage. I will be doing play-by-play and giving my thoughts on the show, and I'll do a post video. Hopefully there'll be some interest. People will check out the coverage. People will check out the review video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about this rebranding. What do you think they should do? What ideas do you have to make this brand stand out? What can they do to win over fans that have given up on the product many years ago? What can they do to be innovative? What can they do to compete with WWE? I mean, really right now they can't, but they have to rebuild and rebrand. What do they do? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.